My Line. Brought to you by Helene Curtis, makers of Stopette deodorants, flowing cream, spray, and stick, Suave hairdressing, and End and Dandruff Treatment shampoo. Now let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, our delightful star of stage and television, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now a gentleman who is going to brighten the television horizon next Saturday night from 9 till 10 o'clock in his own show, Comedy and Music, the superb Victor Borge.
It's my pleasure to introduce the brilliant columnist, the voice of Broadway, Miss Kilgallen.
And now someone you all know who brightens the literary horizon with his wonderful landmark books for children, our publisher panelist, Bennett, Cerf.
Well, last week, the ladies of Waukegan, Illinois, and of Ypsilanti, Michigan, had a vote to see which television panel moderator they would most prefer to be stranded with on a desert island. And the unanimous winner was the gentleman who's going to step through here now, handsome John Charles Daly.
Thank you very much, Bennett. And I must say that the good ladies are too kind. I'm sure they'd much rather be stranded with a panel member like Bennett and a dictionary. They'd need one if they were with Bennett. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to What's My Line. We have some wonderfully interesting people who brought along some, what I hope will be puzzling occupations for our panel tonight, because we love to stick them. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before the panel a little bit later in the show, and we'll meet our first challenger in just one. Let's meet our first contestant. Will you come in and sign in, please? Right there, sir. J.E. Briggs. Right, sir? Where are you from, Mr. Briggs?
I'm originally from Rochester, New York.
Rochester, New York. Well, it'll be interesting. The panel can decide whether that is a real top of New York State accent. Sounds like it might be. Mr. Briggs, the panel. Panel, Mr. Briggs. Would you join me over here, please, sir? You know how we keep score?
I do.
Fine, then let's let the folks at home and our friends who've been kind enough to come and join the theater audience know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, I will tell you that Mr. Briggs is salaried because we want to be helpful. And let's start the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Mr. Briggs, you have a very distinguished presence. Is it possible that you are an executive of some kind?
Possible.
Do you work for a non-profit-making organization?
I do.
Is it a branch of the government?
It is.
Would it be the federal government?
It is.
Are you usually stationed in Washington in your job?
I'm not.
That's 1 down and 9 to go. Victor Borge.
Thank you very much. Oh. Is it our government?
You mean the Danish government?
We only have one over here.
It is, Victor.
It is, Victor. It is.
It is our government, Victor.
Our government. Is it constructive?
Oh, I should say.
I'm not talking about the government. I'm talking about your position in it.
Oh, the line or the occupation of our guest, is it constructive? Oh, I would think if I may answer this one for you, because you might...
We certainly intend it to be.
Yes, and I would
Well,
say
that doesn't answer the question. Is it in education?
Yes.
This being a very broad area, I rush to add.
Yes. But Mr. Briggs said he intended it to be, so there might be a broad area for that reason alone.
That's perfectly true.
Thank you. That's one down and one up.
Still going, Victor.
Is it in, when I say educational, is it in building?
In building?
Building.
The construction
in construction.
Of an edifice of some kind or another?
Yes.
No.
Splendid. That's no. Thank you very much. 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
I knew it.
Mr. Briggs, do you have any other title besides just plain Mr.?
Yes, I do.
Are you in any way connected with the armed forces?
I am, yes.
Are you rather high echelon? Are you high up in the armed forces?
Oh, that's entirely relative.
Well, it isn't for me.
He means he has a relative who's high up in the armed forces. Now, I would say, Dorothy, in lay terms, which I would here, if you don't mind, take over. In lay terms, we would consider this is a high echelon, yeah.
Well, are you either a general or an admiral?
I am, yes.
Well, here I go. Are you a general?
Yes,
You're a general in the armed forces?
I am.
Do I have to guess something more?
Oh, yes. Well, I mean,
Do you
there are
have anything-
generals all over the armed forces.
Do you have anything to do with our missile program?
Anything to do with our missile program?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
General Briggs, do you do part of your work in the Pentagon building in Washington?
I do not, no.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
That took care of us.
Yes. Are you working in the armed services as of now?
I certainly am, yes.
Are you stationed in one place in your job?
In one place, yes.
Is it a job that administers rather than teaches?
Yes.
Swell. Would you be in the judiciary end of the Army?
I am not.
That makes it 5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Borge.
Which would have been your next question? You are general in the Army.
Swell. That's where we
That
were.
we know. But we didn't know that 2 minutes ago.
No, we know
This
that.
puts me in a difficult position. There is an assumption in what has been said by both Miss Francis and Mr. Borge,
Oh.
and not a fact elicited by questioning answered affirmatively.
What was the assumption, John?
That he was a general
I
in the
can't
Army?
tell you that.
Couldn't be General Electric. It had to be in the Army.
Is he retired?
He could be in the Marines.
active.
No, but
the
that's
Air
not...
Force Army.
That's
But
not...
We've had no call for a
No,
conference.
Marines
Mr.
are
Borge, will
Navy.
you proceed with the questioning, please?
Well, I didn't call for the conference.
I know you didn't.
Are you in formation, in information?
He's
Are
in
you in
information.
information? You mean the information department of the military service?
Yes.
No,
Thank
I'm
you
not.
very much. That's
Sorry.
6 down and
I'm
4
glad
to
I
go,
got out of
Miss
that
Kilgallen.
General Briggs, I believe we have elicited that you are a general in the armed forces, but we have not found out the branch of your service. Is that
That is right.
where we're in trouble? Are you something other than the Army?
I am.
Are you Marine Corps?
I am not.
7 down and 3 to go,
Navy.
Mr. Cerf.
Well, it's just armed
General
forces.
Briggs, the Air Force is considered a separate part of the Army? Could you say that you had something to do with the air? It's connected with the Army.
Bennett, you're just about to get red right out of every uniform you ever wore.
You're drummed out of the service.
That way the Boy Scouts, Private Camp Lee. Now, I'm going to leave out Air Force, if you say in the Army. Would you have anything to do with the Engineering Corps?
He hasn't said he was in the
No,
Army.
that makes it 8 down and 2 to go, Miss Francis.
Now, this is where the mix-up is.
Is it the Air Force?
Yes.
It is.
You are a general in the Air Force.
Yes.
I knew you and
Now,
I were
let's
going
see.
to find out.
He administers a job. Could we have a conference for a
You may
moment?
have 20 seconds for a
Could
conference.
he be the head of that West Point of the Air out in Denver?
You mean he's moved from Rochester anyway, obviously.
Run the academy.
He runs the academy out in Colorado Springs.
Well, that's possible
was
since you have something to do
educational.
with education. Is Miss Kilgallen right, General Briggs? Do you have something to do with administering an educational program for the Air Force?
I do.
But it is part of it. It's not.
Colorado Springs.
Are you west of the Mississippi? West of the Mississippi?
What was the question?
Now, what?
Are you west of the Mississippi?
I am.
Are you head of the new, what is it called, the College of the Air
West
Force?
Point of the Air, but I don't know what the real name
Colorado
is.
Springs.
Well,
You've got it. We'll give it
is that
it. Major General James E. Briggs, Superintendent of the United States Air Force Academy near Colorado Springs.
Very good.
I sat
That
next
was
to your
wonderful.
wife at dinner, and but I didn't meet you, General Briggs.
I know a girl who's in love with one of your cadets.
Hooray!
Now, isn't the Air Force tied in with the Army in some
No,
way?
actually, Bennett, this is an error that is made by a great many people. The Air Force used to be a part of the Army, but as a result of the changes in organization coming out of pre-World War II and World War II, the Air Force is now a separate, co-equal branch of the armed forces. And that's why it has its own academy now. Now, the thing I want to say, happy instance, the General should be here because this is the football season, and I don't think I'm wrong, sir, but I don't believe the Air Force football team, the Air Force Academy football team's lost a game this year, has it?
No, we haven't. We have been tied.
You have been tired, but you haven't lost it.
Navy next year, don't you? And Army the year after.
No, we'll play Army at
Army?
West Point next year,
And Navy the year after.
Navy the year following.
Do you think you'll beat them, sir?
We have every intention.
You have every intention. Good deal. Well, I must say that you have a very great service, sir, and I congratulate you on your new academy. I know that as the superintendent of the academy, concerned more with training and education, that you don't want football to be the tail that wags the dog, but I think even you have a sneaking pride, probably, in the fact that the Air Force Academy football team looks like it beat the Army and Navy anyway,
I have
right?
very great pride.
Thanks very much for being with us, General. It's nice to have you with us. And now that the General's gone, let me add very quickly that this is a fine fighting flying officer. He has the Distinguished Flying Cross and the Distinguished Service Medal and a great many others for his service in World War II. Now let's see what we can do with the second challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please? Barbara Harding. Is that right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Harding? Mrs. Harding? There you are. Mrs. Harding. Mrs. Harding, where are you from?
Long Beach, California.
Long Beach, California. Well, it's nice to have you. Particularly nice to have you coming such a long way. Well, there is enthusiasm. It's not spring, it's fall. I don't know what's going on. Mrs. Harding, the panel. Mrs. Harding. Would you join me over here, please, ma'am? Do you know how we keep score? All right, fine. In that event, let's let the folks at home and our friends in the audience here in the theater know exactly what your line is. All right, panel. Mrs. Harding is salaried, and let's move right down the line on starters and begin with Mr. Victor Borge.
Well, frankly, I don't care what line she's in. I know one thing, that you are married to Mr. Harding. Right. Is a product involved?
Yes.
I'm new on the show. Is it a product you can I use it? Could I use it?
Yes.
Well, of course I can't. Well, if I could use it, I guess anybody could use it. Yes. Is it a thing that you could have in the house?
Oh, yes.
You're making me very nervous. Is it a thing that... it is a thing?
Yes.
Yes, a product is a thing. Could it be sent through the mail?
Yes.
It could. Well, it could be many things, couldn't it? Would my wife enjoy getting it for Christmas?
Oh, yes.
You... I pass.
Miss Kilgallen.
Mrs. Harding, do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes, I do.
Is this product something that could be held in the hands?
Yes.
Is it something that's used up rather than something that remains permanently in the home or wherever it is?
Used up?
Yes. It is used up so that in our lifetime we would be likely to have more than one of these things.
Oh, yes.
Right. Is it anything you'd ever find in the kitchen?
Yes.
Would you find it in the dining room?
Yeah.
Is it edible?
Yes.
Is it solid rather than liquid?
Yes.
Dividing foods roughly into nationalities, would it come under the classification of Italian food?
Yes.
Pizza pie.
Are you a pizza stuffer?
No.
I must say
Not
that...
stuffer. It's not pizzas that are stuffed. It's the little square things.
Oh, ravioli.
Ravioli.
A ravioli stuffer.
No.
Oh.
She's not, is she?
No.
Oh.
That makes it
That's what I meant, though.
one down and 9 to go,
Mrs.
Mr.
Harding,
Cerf.
I rather gather that you have got something to do with pizza pies. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, do you make them and probably send them around the country?
Well, actually, I'm going to flip all the cards because we've had a lot of fun, and you're so close in your description that we could wander around in the dark for some time. Actually, you have it, really, because Mrs. Harding is a pizza pie cook.
She's pretty as a pizza.
Pretty as... Oh. Where is it? You are a pizza cook out in Long Beach?
Yes,
Whereabouts in Long Beach?
North Long Beach.
How many of these do you turn out a day?
About 400 a night.
400 a day?
Wow.
Heavenly days.
I have a very important question, John. How does she keep that waistline?
I suppose the answer to that really must be, Dorothy, if you know what goes into pizza pies, I guess you don't eat them.
You can't resist them, John.
I was just making humor.
John, I would like to observe that having Mrs. Harding work making pizzas is the greatest waste of beauty I have seen in a long time. You should be doing something else.
And Mr. Cerf said earlier, over some applause, so some of you may have missed it, and I don't want you to, that she's as pretty as a pizza.
He said pizza.
He said pizza. Yes, I've messed that one up.
It'll be my pie.
Well, Mr. Harding, thank you very... We had a load of fun, even if we didn't stick the panel. It was very nice of you to be our guest. Good to have you on.
A pizza pie hand if I ever saw one. Lovely.
And now we'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from our sponsor. Come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which I ask my friends on the panel to blindfold themselves. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, indeed.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? Panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, you go to a different form of questioning. You ask one question at a time in turn, moving clockwise, and let's begin it all with Bennett Cerf.
Well, if you're going to take out an advertisement in a paper, would it be more likely in Variety than the Wall Street Journal?
Variety.
Right.
Miss Francis?
Are you a performer in pictures?
Yes.
You're on, Victor.
Mr. Borge?
Stop writing the story of your life.
No, I'm just making notes here.
Writing.
Yeah, may I take my blindfold off so I can see what I have written?
No, you may not.
You in show business?
Yes.
Miss Kilgallen?
Were you born someplace other than the United States?
Yes.
Mr. Cerf?
Would you answer possibly to the description Oriental?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you do something other than act, such as sing or dance?
Yes.
Mr. Borge?
Yes. Oh. Where am I?
You're with us.
Oh. Am I blindfolded or am I asleep? What's this? You were not born in the United States. You were not born over here. You play here. You,
Is your question, was our guest born outside the United States?
No, that was already answered
Oh, fine.
last week. I watched the show. You are appearing in New York for the time being?
Yes.
I mean, not for the time being. I know that you are right here, but... oh, excuse me.
Miss Kilgallen?
Did you say appearing in New York?
Appearing, an engagement, I mean.
That's a good
That's
thing.
a good thing.
Were you originally British?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Are you appearing in a theater, a legitimate play at the present time?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Is it possible that you have been appearing as a singer in a club in New York, and Dorothy told me this tonight, if you are the one, is it possible that you were not able to appear this evening at this club?
Yes.
Oh, no. Yes, it is. Oh.
Who is
Are
it?
you Miss Alberghetti?
Maria Alberghetti.
That's right.
Come out now. Come
This
out,
is-
Victor. Come out.
This is loads of fun, and we must tell you why. Before showtime tonight, Miss Dorothy came in and was full of news that Anna Maria had a very bad case of laryngitis, had not been able to appear for her show at the Latin Quarter, and that Johnny Ray had quickly put all of his things together to go and be substitutes,
On like
right?
10 minutes' notice.
On 10 minutes' notice. And it's true, Anna Maria has a very bad case of laryngitis, but she was enough of a trooper, knowing that she didn't have to sing here and would only have to say yes and no and very little of that, to come down and fulfill her engagement with us, for which we are grateful, ma'am. It's very nice of you to come. But we nearly fooled him. And thanks a lot, and much success for Latin. All right, panel, let's see what we can do with the final challenge. Will you come in and sign in, please? Oscar Tapper, right, sir? Mr. Tapper, where are you from?
Eatontown, New Jersey.
Eatontown, New Jersey. Fine, Mr. Tapper, the panel, Mr. Tapper. Now, will you come and join me very quickly? You know how we keep score.
Yes.
Then let's let everybody in the theater at home know exactly what your line is, and the panel will have to go from there. I will tell you that you have something like 2.5 minutes to go. There is, needless to say, a little trick in what we're doing right now, and see if you can catch up with it. Mr. Tapper is salaried. Let's begin the general questioning with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Mr. Tapper, is your beard real?
Yes, indeed.
Well, that's not the trick.
I should have had Groucho Marx's line, shouldn't I? This is false. My real one's in my pocket.
Well, you have rather a...
And they say it's the British who don't laugh until the next day.
Do you have anything to do with entertainment or amusement?
Nothing at all.
Well, you
1 down
amuse
and 9
me.
to go.
You've only been on a minute?
Mr. Cerf?
Mr. Capper, with Thanksgiving Day coming up, have you got connection with anything that might be used, especially at Thanksgiving time?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Are you in business of some kind, Mr. Tapper?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Borge.
You're not a purple people eater.
Purple people eater.
Have you had anything to do with children?
Yes.
Don't say another word. You're right. He's a teacher. We'll flip all the cards. I want to explain what we were up to tonight.
Scare the children.
Mr. Tapper is an exchange teacher replacing a teacher from the Memorial School in Eatontown, New Jersey. You'll be here for a year, would you
Been
not?
here for a year, yes. That's
And I
right.
wish we had more time because I wanted to talk to him a bit about the satisfactions of teaching in America, but unhappily the clock ran out on us.
Can't we know what his subject is, at least?
You teach history?
History, English and social studies.
History.
You're not giving it an English slant, are you?
Well, it's difficult, you know, at times with certain parts of America. It's not to give an English slant.
When you come to
Mr. Tapper, thank you very much for being our guest. I do wish that we'd had more time left over. It's wonderful to have you as a guest, sir. Thank you much for the call. And I would say, unhappily, because I think it's a little bit of a shock to all of us, we will not be with you next Sunday because there's going to be a wonderful program, a spectacular named Wonderful Town on CBS next Sunday night. But the following Sunday, What's My Line will be back. On that sad and at the same time happy note, this is John Daly saying good night, Miss Arlene Francis.
Good night, John. It was lovely to have you with us, Victor. Happy
Thank
next
you very
Saturday.
much. Happy weekend next weekend because you are not working, Miss
You
Kilgallen.
too, Victor. Really. Goodbye.
Now, Mr. Kappa, you know, is Phi Beta Kappa's brother. You knew that, didn't you?
Yes, thank you
Good
very
night,
much.
John.
His name is Tapper.
And good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
Transportation for contestants on What's My Line is arranged by United Airlines. What's My Line is a CBS Television Network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Tauten.